What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the RAAL LMG, which is the new LMG that was added a few days ago. I know I'm a little bit behind on this, but I've been just crazy busy. Basically, if you don't want to watch the video, I think it's terrible. So it's not really clickbait. I actually just think it's awful compared to the other options out there. But we're going to go over everything in the video today if you want to check that out. Something I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into it. We'll be launching an Android app probably pretty soon. It's literally just the website, but it's in an app form. So hopefully that comes out in the next few days. If it gets approved by Google, everything's finished and it works fine. We're just trying to get it approved by Google. So that should be out soon. But as always, if you guys want to support the channel, drop us a sub, a like, and a comment. Help us out with the algorithm. Helps us to support the YouTube channel as well as the website. So let's jump into it and we will talk about the RAAL LMG. So there's basically 5 things that I think are really important when looking at an LMG. That would be TTKs, because it's so slow, it's going to have good TTKs. Mobility is always important. Reload time, ADS time, and recoil. Those are the 5 most important things, in my opinion, for an LMG. So to start out with, we're going to talk about TTKs. This is the RAAL versus the MG82 versus the PKM versus the Bruin. These are basically the top LMGs, in my opinion, right now. Stoner should be on here as well, but yeah, you know what? Let's just add the Stoner. It takes 2 seconds. The Stoner on here. Stoner's in a good spot as well. Has been for a long time, actually. All right, so we've got all the 5 top LMGs on here. RAAL is orange, MG82 pink, magenta, cyan is PKM, green is Bruin, and Stoner is the light or the darker blue. So you can see right off the bat, the RAAL has the worst TTKs in the first 40 meters, and then past 40 meters, the only thing slower is the Stoner. This is chest shots. Let's go look at extremities real fast. Extremities, even worse for the RAAL. The RAAL is last everywhere. Only slightly slower than the MG82 from about 23 meters out to about 40 meters. But inside that, it's slower than everything. So TTKs are bad to start off with. TTKs are terrible. Let's go look at summary stats. So looking at ADS times, the RAAL has the slowest ADS times of all the LMGs, 454 milliseconds. MG82 is down at 346, PKM at 413, Bruin at 396, and Stoner at 400. They're all going to have the same sprint to fire times because they have the default AR sprint to fire time plus the open bolt delay. They all have the same open bolt delay, or very close to the same open bolt delay. Mobility, this is one of the other things I said is always important. The RAAL has the worst mobility. Has 4 meters per second movement speed, which is even slower than the PKM by a significant amount. The PKM is 4.38 meters per second, so it's even slower than the PKM. ADS movement speed is the slowest of the group as well. I did put the 60 round mag on the Bruin just so we could compare that. I know that's not entirely fair, but the point is the Bruin has that attachment with a fast reload time, and there's really not a whole lot of reason not to use it. It does hurt your recoil a little bit, but it's still a good attachment, still pretty much what's recommended to use with the Bruin all the time. You can see mobility is just terrible on the RAAL. ADS times are terrible. TTKs are bad. Bullet velocity is standard. Reload times. So with the 60 round mag, obviously the Bruin's going to have great reload times. The RAAL is at 7.67 seconds, which is the second slowest behind the PKM. You get 100 rounds with that. And then if we go look at I believe the 50 round mag is on the website. Let's go look at that real quick. So if I go edit the RAAL, yeah. So I didn't really see any significant change in reload time. I think it was like, it looks like I forgot to put it on the site, but I think it was like a second faster. So it got down to like 6.7 seconds reload time. So still terrible. It's not at all like the Bruin 60 round mag where you get that AR reload time. So those things combined, already the RAAL looks terrible. But let's go compare recoil. So the MG82 is the gun I'm going to compare recoil to. Just because the MG82 is known as having a ton of recoil. So we're going to compare that to the RAAL and see which one comes out with more recoil. Alright, I've talked about this a bunch in the past, but I've basically given these two guns the same amount of damage with the number of bullets they're firing. So 29 shots on the RAAL is roughly equivalent to the same amount of damage the MG82 will put out with 38 bullets. And that's the most important thing to do when you're talking about comparing recoil between two guns. So we're going to go to exactly 10 meters prone, so there's not much aiming sway, and then we're going to fire. This is the MG82 first. And then let's try the RAAL and see how the recoil compares. And these are both fully meta builds, so longest barrel, monolithic suppressor, VLK, or axial 3X. And I have the basically the same attachment as the PKM, where it helps your ADS times and recoil for your underbarrel on the RAAL, and then just the Field Agent foregrip on the MG82. So you can see the actual recoil of the MG82 is significantly higher than the RAAL, but I want to show you guys, well, first of all, you can see that the RAAL is kind of bouncing around left and right a lot. At that distance, it's a little harder to tell, but the visual recoil is huge on the RAAL compared to the MG82. So I'm going to do my normal sign test over here where I come to this edge of this fence and I try to shoot this sign. And you'll see with the MG82, there's very, very little visual recoil. It's just super, super accurate once you get used to the recoil. And then with the RAAL, there's so much more bounce and visual recoil that once you get through those first few shots, the first few shots have a lot of recoil. After that, it's pretty accurate. But really, of these two, for me personally, I feel more accurate with the MG82, even though it has so much more vertical recoil because of this unpredictable horizontal bounce in the RAAL and the fact that those first few shots, it's kind of hard to see here because I was so close, but let me back up a little bit. If I back up and go to like, I don't know, yeah, 18 meters, you'll see those first few shots have a lot more recoil than the rest. And that makes it really hard to land all your shots. So overall, I prefer the MG82's perfectly straight up recoil with no horizontal bounce whatsoever and very low visual recoil to the RAAL's annoying, bouncy, and inconsistent recoil. So I thought it would be fun to briefly talk about how the RAAL has changed in damage profile from when it was pre-released floor loot to when it was actually released like 2 months later. So originally it did 62 to the head, 50 chest, 42 stomach, 39 extremities. And now it does 59, 40, 37, 37. So it got a 10 damage nerf to the chest, 5 damage to the stomach, and 2 damage to extremities, 3 damage to the head in the first damage drop off. And then the second damage drop off went from 57, 46, 39, 36 to 54, 37, 34, 34. So it used to have this huge chest multiplier, and that gave it these phenomenal chest TTKs. If you look at the TTK chart back then, it gave you this potential to have really, really, really good chest TTKs at any range. This would have been pretty dominant. So orange is the pre-release RAAL, and then pink is the current RAAL. If you look at extremities, they're not going to be that much different. The pre-release RAAL is going to have better TTKs out at range, but up close, not a whole lot different. But I loved these chest multipliers because it gave you a reason to try to use the gun. Right now, there's no reason to use the gun at all. It's just bad. But the pre-release RAAL had this awesome chest TTK where if you got really good at hitting chest shots, you can get phenomenal TTKs. So I don't know. I'm sad they're removing all the chest multipliers, or at least lowering all the chest multipliers. I thought that was a cool way to balance guns, to have certain guns that were, you know, more mastery based, where you had to get good at hitting these chest shots. So I don't know, but I just thought it was cool to compare these two. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think the RAAL is terrible. I don't see any reason to use it over the other LMGs. It's slower. It has worse TTKs. The recoil is not good. The visual recoil is not good. The ADS times are bad. It just makes no sense to use it over the other LMGs. And that's unfortunate because back in the day when they first released it as a floor loot weapon, it was actually pretty good. That was a fun gun to use. It does have this unique optic that I didn't mention. It has the Soul 0K 498. This gives you the range to your target. It's a nice optic. I mean, cool. It has a, you know, the distance to your target, and it's a very clean sight picture. But that just doesn't make the gun worth using at all. It's still just not any good. So that's kind of my summary. It's bad. I don't think it's good, but that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Basically just me trashing on the RAAL the entire time. I'll see you guys all in the next video, hopefully out tomorrow. So see you then.